You don't need to find your life purpose. And in this video, I'm going to share with you what you should focus on instead. Back in 2018, about 7 years ago, I left my 9 to 5 job in New York City. I quit my corporate lifestyle. I came back home to my parents' house in Pennsylvania, and I had a complete life reset. And I was searching for months to try and find my life purpose. And I began to actually create video content back then in 2018. And I'm kind of glad my videos got taken down and censored because they were really bad. I was very bad at speaking. But I was searching for this purpose, and I was really trying to find, why am I on this planet? Like, what should I be doing? I was creating video content, like I said. I changed careers. I went into restaurants and began to work at restaurants as a server, manager, and I was really kind of struggling. I was, unsure of, I felt like for a point of time there, I felt like I was kind of behind in life. I felt like I was kind of, I saw my friends that were all still at their like full-time jobs in different cities, and I saw kind of the people around me, my family, thinking I was kind of like behind in life, and it was a tough time for me because I, I knew the whole time that I was here to help people, here to serve people, and I have this passion for like teaching and sharing, but I was not really seeing, my channel grow. And even when my channel finally did grow towards the end of like 2020, that's when I had my Instagram, my podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, my YouTube channel. All my platforms were pretty much taken down. Happened twice in 2020 around the election time. I got censored, and then I really just kind of stopped with the content because I dabbled in it, but I was really frustrated with getting my stuff deleted and everything. I lost all my followers, and I was really just trying to find like, man, so like maybe these videos and this content is not my purpose. Well, then like, what is my purpose? And I kept searching, and this is in 2020. So then, next few years, moved to Arizona, moved to Texas, met my wife, had my son in the last 2 years, and here I am again making content. And it's really strange because it's almost like I can't. It's almost like I can't escape making content because I just feel so passionate about this. And I took a break. I didn't really put a lot of focus on it the last few couple of years here, but my point of this story of sharing all this is that once again, here I am, right in front of the camera, creating a lot of content, and I feel like this is a big part of my purpose on this planet is to be like a teacher, coach, consultant, like just sharing about my story, teaching people things. And my point is that the last few years, I kind of, in a sense, was running from my purpose, and I want to tell you that you really cannot hide from it, right? Like we all signed up to come to this planet. I believe we chose certain things to learn, to experience, to challenges, struggles, things to overcome. And I see a lot of people trying to find their purpose, and they're buying courses, they're spending all this time and energy into like trying to find like what is that one thing that I should be doing. First of all, it's not just one thing, and second of all, you cannot run from your purpose. It's a part of you. Like you are your purpose, right? So you are the purpose, and it's in many different shapes. It could be as a mother, as a father, brother or sister, best friend. You could be there for people around you. You could be. There's just so many ways to obviously have a purpose on this planet. But I see a lot of people trying to find their purpose, and I've been there. And I just want to tell you, like, you don't need to keep looking because it's not outside of you. And there's seasons to life. There's seasons like I just shared with you about my last 7 years. There's been times in those 7 years where I've been making a lot of content. I used to get up at 6 in the morning, maybe even 5:30. I used to make a video in my New York City studio apartment. Like my whole apartment was like this size of this room. I would make a video. I have my little iPhone on top of some books on my bookshelf. I would just make a video before work. I would edit it, shower, I would even go to the gym before work too. I would go to the gym. I would come back to my apartment, edit it, schedule it, and then go on the subway, go to work, 8 hours, come home, have dinner, back to bed at 9 p.m. And that was a point in my life where I was just starting with the content. I was just getting into it. But then there was points like the last couple of years, the last 2 years, where I've not really been creating much content. I've been focusing on being a father, being a husband, working on my finances, working on my career. And so there's seasons to life. So if you're kind of in a point right now, or maybe you're where I was recently, where you're not really, you're kind of being a hermit, you're maybe like by yourself a lot, you're kind of being alone. Maybe that's just part of the season you're in of your life. Maybe in 3, 6, 9 months, 12 months, it'll change and you'll be more outgoing. You'll be more like I'm doing now. You'll be sharing more. You'll be kind of more seen, more visible. So we have to honor these seasons to life, right? So number one, you are your purpose. Number two, you cannot run from it because it's always a part of you. And here's number three. Was the biggest lesson I've learned over the last like maybe 5 years is that about this life purpose thing is that, you know, I think a lot of people are trying to find their purpose because they are having a hard time. I know for myself, when I was like back home with my parents in my childhood house, after I already went to college, I already had a full time job in Manhattan. I came back home, like, I had a hard time for a little while there in the beginning, maybe in the middle. I had a hard time accepting where I was in life at that point, accepting that, yeah, I am back home at my parents' house when all my buddies and stuff are in different cities and they're making big salaries, and I'm there working at a restaurant in my hometown. I there was points where I was resisting where I was at, and it's actually crazy because it's like I look back, I was at home at my parents' house after my full time job in New York City. I was at home for about 3 years, and it's funny because after about maybe 2.5 years, I kind of really began to accept, like, okay, this is where I'm at. I have a lot to be grateful for. I have a lot to still be happy about. And it was almost like right when I was kind of fully accepting where I was at in life, very short, barely soon after that, I moved across the country to Arizona and just had a whole fresh start, like totally new start, whole new environment, made whole new friends, new jobs, new creative expression. I grew my TikTok channel really fast in Arizona to like, 30, I think it was 35,000 followers in like 3 months, something like that. Because it was a whole new start for me. But I see how I had to go through that period of the downtime. I was, in Pennsylvania, I was meditating a lot. I was, kind of just reading books a lot, and there wasn't much happening in my life. And I had to accept that. And I think a lot of people, they're looking for their purpose. They're trying to find like the next thing, when really I think they have to just accept like where they're at. And it's funny that once you can do that fully, like just being okay with where you're at, that's when things can maybe even change. And you might have things pick up with your business or with relationships, or where you're, move to a new place. Like these things happen, I think, once we surrender fully. So just chew on this. Maybe this whole life purpose, trendy thing people are buying, people are like trying to find this all the time. It's like maybe instead, let's just accept who we are, and maybe just embrace that our purpose is like a million purposes. Like every moment, every day, is going to be changing. But you can't leave your purpose. It's a part of you. We have to accept where we're at, and we have to just acknowledge that there's seasons to life. So if this video gave you some value, please subscribe down below so you don't miss any content. Give me a like on this video, and I'll see you very soon. Take care.